for me, how's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys know what it is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. Podcast Rolling Stone Magazine describes as the one that initiates profound discussions with rock and metal artists, line fans code the creative workflow, other musicians, and understand the factors that make the band succeed or fall from fame. We're also sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best your customer computer needs. Get $100 off your entire the code CBPOD at darkfusionsystems.com. Links to the podcast below. Go to millionpodcast.com. They rank the top 100 podcasts for a bunch of lists, including the best podcast for metal music. Chord Progression Podcast is sitting right at number 14. That is my favorite number, but you want to be better if we replace number 1. So keep listening, keep streaming, keep subscribing. It's going to get us there. Now it's time to our feature presentation. I said heavy music, right? Metal music. Oh, we're getting super duper heavy with this one. I'm excited for this. We've got Darius and Alex from the band Spite on the podcast today. The brand new album, New World Killer, is coming out on October 31st on Halloween. And we not only talk about how Spite continued to grow on this album, especially by writing it in a much more constrained time period. We talk about the evolution of that sound. We talk about the songs that we're most excited for you guys to listen to. And let's be honest, you want great heavy music and find out how it's made. This is the episode for you guys. Ready? Let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. This year and last year, I've been all in on anything heavy, anything manic, anything crazy in music. It is just scratching an itch that you cannot deny. It is absolutely incredible what's going on in the heavy music scene right now. Beyond that, though, I've seen this band perform live here, and those pits are some of the most raucous, rambunctious, intense things I've ever been in my entire life, and it is one of the most fun things you'll ever get a chance to do. And the best part about it is two things. One, this band's been going on tour with bands like Fit for a King and Make Them Suffer at the end of 2025, so you're not going to miss on that. Plus, there's a brand new record called New World Killer coming out, and if you are feeling like this is going to be a little bit scary, well, it's coming out on Halloween, so it kind of all makes sense, but this is going to be a great one. Please welcome Darius and Alex from the band Spite to the podcast.
What's
so
up,
gentlemen,
guys?
welcome to Chord Progression Podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being on, guys. I mean, we are close to that tour. We are close to the record coming out just at this moment. How are you guys feeling about all of this right now?
It's exciting.
Honestly,
closing in on 2 weeks.
Yeah, we're dying to get out there. We just took pretty much it's been a year since we've been on tour. So we've been stuck in our houses for the most part over this year, going crazy. We're ready to give a really gnarly performance for everyone.
That scares me a little bit, because if you guys have been pent up in your houses for like an entire year, you know, with the brand new record coming out as well, what the fuck is about to happen when you guys play live? I've already seen it before. I've seen the insanity that has happened with it. Are we going to be ready for it to happen again? I don't know.
It's not
man.
looking good. No, I think we just put out New World Killer, that music video, and that kind of just depicts what you're about to get when you see us live. So
I think that actually puts it in the best perspective overall, because you listen to that song not only as well, it sets the tone for what to expect from you guys live, but it sets the tone for the entire album as well. And of course, being the titular song, that only makes sense.
Oh, for sure. It's cool. We wrote that song as the very last track, like in the studio. We didn't have a demo for that song going into the studio at all. That all came out within the last 2 weeks of being there. We wrote that song, recorded it, and it became the title track of the record.
I
remember having all the other songs together, and like we were sitting there with Will, we're listening to everything. He's like, dude, everything's great. We have it all, but we're missing the end of the record. We need that song to wrap it up. And then he was like, yo, I got to go play a show for a weekend. Alex, like, why don't you just take these 2 days and make the end to an album? You know what I'm saying? And he just wrote New World Killer in 2 days. It was crazy.
You wrote that in 2 days. You guys recorded it with little time left to go in the recording session. And it not only come out as the end of the album, but it came out as the titular song in one of the singles. So it seems like at that point in time, everything you've been working on up to that point in the album, it's all right, we got to come up with a closer. Let's just amalgamate everything, take a quick look at it, bing, bang, boom, no demo, and this is what we get, and we're getting something that's just going to be has a little bit of a progressive groove to it, even from a deathcore side, but it stands out with that in some of the best variety as well. I looked even at my like note sheet as I went through every single song. I said the song stands out the best is in its groove progression with that deathcore mix throughout the entire thing. It just sinks into you in a fantastic way. I can't express it any other way. I'm trying to find crazier words to put into it, but I don't know, man.
You said it perfect where like, we were able to, because we wrote it in the studio and it was the last song, we were able to look at the whole album and everything we had. And it was just like, okay, how do we want to like tie this up and make it, pretty, but, not pretty at the end, and just like wrap it all together. And I think it came out perfectly that way.
Now, on the other albums you guys have done, has that kind of been the case where you've been able to pull that off, or is this just like a brand new thing that happened for this album specifically?
No, not necessarily. Like, we wrote a bunch of demos going in to see Will Putney. Like, I think like maybe 15 to 20, 15 that we were like, all right, we can use these for demos and see how they turn out. But I left the door, like we all did, like we left the door open for him to like work with us and possibly change things. So we didn't want to come in with things too set in stone, like you can get married to your stuff that you're writing very easily. And I think we wanted to keep that door open, but in turn, you change a lot of things. You spend a lot of time writing and completing these other songs. And what happened was we finished what we had, and he had to go to the show, like he was saying, but we listened to all the demos and he just said, I still don't feel like we have an album closer yet, just like that. And I was like, fuck. Seriously, just sitting there like, okay, what do we do then? But he let me do that. Like, I didn't think I was going to have the time to write anymore, but we did that.
It is kind of like you said, it was an intentional to do it the way we did. And I look back on all the Spike discography in our previous records, and we kind of always did make the last song last. And we always, that's kind of typical Spike formula. I remember doing, Free for All, Self-Destruct, Kill Zone, and then Crumble. Those were all like where we look back at the records and what we had, and we're like, we have to make a catastrophic end. Like the ending always has to be this devastating song, and that I definitely knew we had to accomplish going into this song, and Alex served it. So,
I think like to answer your question too, like on previous records, like Dedication of Flesh, like that album was written mostly during COVID, so it was just this endless amount of time to just take like a pick at it and detail every last thing that you wanted to do. When in reality, it's like not all music is written like that. You don't have all that time necessarily to do that. And this is kind of the product of Spike getting in the studio and delivering. This is what you get in 4 weeks.
But when you get a chance to take a look back at the discography, like you brought up with Dedication of Flesh, and being able to write that throughout the pandemic and just the mass amount of time you had to write it, it's going to produce maybe a little bit of a different result because you're working within a different creative constraint or a creative openness at that point in time. With, of course, this brand new album, New World Killer, if you have only 4 weeks to really put this thing together and really go for it, you're going to get creative within those time constraints as well to figure out what's going to work best for you. What's really coming out? How can you capitalize on that moment? And you're not allowed to be as nitpicky as possible because, yes, nitpicking can take some of those good moments and make them great, but that can also take great moments and make them good or weaker than maybe you wanted to, because that initial outpouring of emotion, initial outpouring of ideas artistically in these songs just can be the thing that makes it the most insane thing. Like you said, creating the song with like 2 days. I mean, what could you imagine if you had 2 months to do it? You may have changed up everything from it, and you may have not had that massive catastrophic end to New World Killer that you did now.
Right. It's like kind of like writing under pressure and seeing just what happens when you write under pressure. And that was cool. But to answer that too, it's like some of the songs on the record, I did work on the demo for 2 months at a time. And like Lights Out, for instance, I wrote that song starting in February of the year, and people didn't necessarily take as well to that song. I love that song, but it just goes to show you how like you have to have that push and pull, writing for yourself and then writing for other people too, that people that like your music. It's hard to find that balance.
Can't be the easiest balance to go with. And I've heard plenty other artists talk about that too. God, who did I recently talk to? It was Matt from the band Caskets. He was talking about record number 2 and how more people, they kind of wrote it with more of an idea of what people were expecting at that point in time with their brand new record coming out a week after you guys, how it is just much more what they wanted to do at that point in time. And of course, you're going to have to balance that idea of what have we created? What are the people connecting with us going to be able to connect with again? But how do we also expand ourselves as artists? Because if you stick with just one sound, one idea, you're going to put yourself in a creative box within a couple of years. You're not going to want to stick into that. Your influences are going to change. Your interests are going to change. The sounds you hear that make you want to create something and evolve the sound are going to be different, and you got to be able to drive forward on that when that opportunity strikes.
Yeah, you said it best there. Like, albums are just such a snapshot of where you are in your lives. And like, as much as like we like the old songs that we've made in the past, like not only can we not remake the same record again, but we can't go back to that point in our lives again. Like, I think overall though, like the music we've both written on the last 2 records, like the overall thing that brings the band together is Darius's vocals, and that kind of opened a door for me on guitar to try some new things. It's still heavy as fuck, and you're able to riff and thrash around, but you don't have to just stay confined to like one box on guitar.
That's a good way to put it, honestly. I mean, when you listen to Spite, when you listen to that, Darius, your vocals are such a unique piece within there on the heavy side with the range they can go with on that unclean just presentation. Yeah, it allows the rest of the band and the rest of the instruments that are behind it to play creatively with it. You never know what you're really going to get beyond that. You could get something that could all of a sudden be a lot more melodic, a lot more drawn out, and just the expression of the vocals could create this overall emotion that just painfully hits in so much more of a deep way below the surface. Or you could just go absolute fast-paced manic and essentially have my buddy throw me against the wall because he's just feeling it, and I got to deal with that because, well, dude's a lot bigger than me.
How about
that's the beauty of what's up?
Oh, I was just gonna ask you, like, I don't know, when you listen to music, like, do you like albums that have like a certain energy that carries all throughout, or do you prefer it to have like ups and downs and ebbs and flows?
Ooh, I would say it's a mixture of both, because if you have the album that has the ups and downs and ebbs and flows, that can be something that's absolutely incredible if that transition of energy can really work. Because when you're listening to music, you're listening to that sonic storytelling that is there, and it's going to drive a specific emotion. So if I'm listening to an album, like if I'm trying to think of one that really sticks out for me, Rise Against the Siren Songs of the Counterculture, there's a lot of just fast pace, a lot of angsty punk rock in there. And all of a sudden you get to where Swing Life Away is, and it massively dips, but just the overall flow of that story and that emotion on the album, it takes you naturally into that dip. So if an artist can create something where the sonic storytelling of an album, of a set list in a live setting, can take that energy and flow it perfectly from one spot to the next and even back to where it was originally, yeah, that's when you get those magical moments in my mind.
That's a great way to
difference between like making an album and just putting out like songs with content and stuff. I feel like they carry so much more weight when you make a large cohesive piece like that. You know, it makes you want to go back to it later than just associating it with like, oh, this is what people were doing during this time. You know.
Yeah, and especially in today's day and age where a lot more focus is being put on the single, the streaming side of it, because that's what's getting better numbers. That's what's better for the algorithm. There are plenty of songs I've heard as singles over the course of, let's say the past 5 years, since really the pandemic was going, past 5.5 years. And there are singles that's like, yeah, I enjoy them as songs, enjoy them as singles, but then I think about going back to them and it does just keep them in a certain box at a certain time. The albums have so much more life to them. The deep cuts have so much more life to them because it creates that overall experience, and it creates this connection when you first hear them that carries you forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like and like you were saying with that Rise Against reference, it's like it's all about how songs sit in context of albums. And I feel like I don't know if that's lost or anything. I just feel like now in the climate of music, people kind of expect songs to be in like a single format. And like once you hear a song, that's the band's sound type of thing versus like what kind of album did they put out? What energy do they have on the whole album?
That does make a lot more sense too. In today's day and age, again, all I can think about is like people releasing the brand new single, the next single. And if there is one that does pop off, that one that really gets big, there's a lot of people that then stick in and associate a band with that sound and say that's just it. I kind of think about, when Bad Omens popped off in 2022, when Just Pretend became a huge thing on TikTok, and so many people were going to see them play live based off of not only that song, but a majority of an album that sounded very similar to that flow. But then a bunch of us that were in the crowd, we listened to the first two albums. We like what they did on Death of Peace of Mind. But when all of a sudden the set ends and they're going to play Dethrone, there's a number of people that were I remember back in 2022, were not necessarily too happy because it was like, this is not what I expected. But the band has a much more amalgamated sound that has been created over the course of time, over the course of an album, over the course of a discography. And you got to be able to go along with that type of evolution because artists cannot be put into a box. When artists put themselves in a box, that's a different story. But when people try and put artists in a box, then it creates those expectations and you're not going to potentially enjoy that evolution like you very well could because you're evolving at the same time as well. Go with the flow and you're going to have a much, much greater time listening to music and connecting with an artist from there.
100%. Like, and I think a lot of it is how it's delivered too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's okay to make changes, but like, you have to kind of keep in mind why people like you in the first place. It's not about pulling a 180 on people, right?
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of bands that maybe pulled 180s on people. It's like, what were you guys thinking here? I mean, there have been artists that have done it and been successful in it and have gone through different eras. I mean, take a look at what the Beatles did all throughout the 60s. It's what they created in 1964 is not the same kind of music they were making in 1967.
No, it's totally. And to that point too, like we were just talking about Ozzy Osbourne like a few weeks ago. Like they were saying something after he died about how like he never gave in to like any trend of metal while he was alive. Like a lot of bands as they were progressing, like they went through different stages of like a decade. So it'd be like through the 60s through the 80s, and you'd see metal bands dip into like disco, like, and you're going, that's such a sign of the times. And we're kind of like set in the fact that like we don't want to necessarily give into a music that's relevant to the time period, but why we like the music and why we kind of started the band in the first place.
So that does also make sense too. And of course, there's certain times where, those moments in time or those sounds in the time, if it influences you in a specific way and you really like it and you want to incorporate a piece of that, I'm not saying the style, but incorporate a component of that idea into your music and see how it evolves in your sound. Now it's going to sound like an evolution of sound versus sticking in a time capsule and being specific to, what would have happened back in like the 2010s or in the late 2000s, or even going back to like when nu metal hit back in the, mid to late 90s, kind of sticking where it's, okay, this is sounding exactly like that. I'm trying to think of another example. I'll use a band like Fox Lake as an example on their brand new album they released this year. It has so much more of that like nu metal kind of idea behind it in their hardcore flow, but holy shit, is it fresh, but it's something that is uniquely them. It's not something really that sounds like just you're trying to take nu metal and thrust it into a hardcore sense. It sounds like a full amalgamation of something brand new. So you guys do that shit too. Trust me. I've listened to the music. I've listened to it. It does not have this feeling of this was made in this time period and that's that. It doesn't have that.
I love to hear that.
I wouldn't have it any other way. And of course, New World Killer, you listen through that and it, again, doesn't have that feel of, oh, this is strictly 2025 and that's going to be it.
Yeah.
No. There's so much more here than you got to really realize and really sink yourself into. Just listen to the whole album. Trust me.
Yeah,
that's exactly. That's the beauty of Spite is we've never been, we don't put ourselves in that box of being a certain subgenre of metal or anything like that. I mean, me and Alex grew up influenced by a ton of different kinds of metal. And I think the goal of Spite is that we're just always an angry, aggressive band. And like there's so many different ways to accomplish that and keep it interesting. And like I think Spite, like Alex said, with the last album too, it opened that door to being able to do it in so many different ways. And it allows us to reach some like a different audience and play with different kinds of bands that aren't necessarily our sound. And that's what I really like about Spite. It's just it feels like its own entity, and that doesn't necessarily fall into like you couldn't like put it into a certain kind of sound at the time. Exactly.
And that's totally cool to say that it's like you can hear the influences from other bands in it. Like as far as guitar work goes, I'm not like throwing any crazy pedals on top of my guitar or anything, but I'm directly influenced by the bands that like, played before me and that I like so much.
And even on this album too, you can tell a good deal of that where, again, it's not just a sign of the times. It's you're looking at certain things that really stuck with you guys and you're adding them there, and it's creating this overall more complex flow that you're absolutely right, Darius. You guys can go out with many different kinds of bands and bring that heaviness in there, but at the same time fit in with the overall aesthetic of maybe what other band is going for when their sound doesn't directly relate to you. Shit, if all of a sudden I saw a Spike going out with Sleep Token, I'd be like, you know what? This oddly makes sense in a way, because it can happen, especially on New World Killer. There is like, I think I said it before, but I'll say it again. Throughout a good chunk of the songs and through a good chunk of the emotions, Alex, with the guitar playing that you went on there, they're created this like at times progressive yet heavy groove throughout the whole entire song that you move to in a specific way. It can bring forward that absolute brutal heaviness at the same time, but it can also bring forward a more eclectic sound that widens the range of what Spite can do here and how heavy they can go in different avenues. That's the beauty of where this record really lies. The heaviness just expands in different ways because of the different types of ideas you have in the patterns that you created in these songs.
Oh, damn. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like that you just kind of like said what's coming from my head. It's kind of like I talked with Darius about how he wrote this record, and like again, we're like referring back to Dedication of Flesh. It's like it's one thing to like compose a song and just like think about how make everything make sense and chip at it like it's a statue or something, but it's like making music isn't like that all the time. And I was really stoked on how on this record it was more so just like what we would do if we got in a room and were handed our instruments.
Like given the history of our band, like all the touring experiences, all the records we've made, the songs we grew up on, the songs we listen to now, like everything, it was just everything came together. And like Alex said, it's like, all right, given that, here's your guitar. Travis, here's your drumsticks. All right, guys, get in the room, like, let's do it. And like this would be the first kind of shit we would throw at the wall, And I think that is like something I'm pretty proud of on this record. It is just so like, and it just came out so fucking awesome, and will help like put all the puzzle pieces together and just make it incredible.
Given that time period you guys had to write this, and just what you said, Darius, it's like everyone in a room together. Okay, go. And this is the like what your guys are going to put out first, just throwing that shit at the wall. When you're putting that out there first and it's just coming from you naturally from that inclination, we're going to get the most, I would say at the core sound from you four guys. Just this is what we're going for. This is what we're doing. And this is where we want to go with it as it sits right now. But then you get someone like Will to be put in there as well, who is just maybe going to be able to amplify exactly what you're trying to do, or take a look at what you're doing and say, maybe add this, subtract this, change this, just because not to change the overall sound, but see where you guys are going with this, see where the idea behind it is, see where the drive behind it is. And maybe with just a different ear, this little change can change the sound up to deliver that in a much more impactful way than originally what you guys had. And in that short time frame, you're not going to get that much time to dissect the songs too much and then remove that, upfront soul that is just right there when you throw it at the wall for the first time.
Oh, totally. And he was so good at that. Like, I think the thing about it was too, is like, once we were there, like, it's not like we wrote the whole album in the studio, but we didn't want to be too married to the material, like before going in. Like, I know that can happen to bands sometimes where you're just like, oh, it has to be this way. We're using the demo working titles for the album. And that's not what we wanted to do. But because of that, we left ourselves a bigger workload with him, you know?
We were a lot more open-minded going into this record. We want everyone to collaborate as much as possible. And, I want to give him his flowers. Like, it was the first time that we had a drummer come in and take Alex's like bass ideas and write his own drum parts and get really creative with that. And like I said, people throwing things at the wall, like Travis sat there all day long, like writing out his own drum parts. And like he would stay up all night at some point. We would come in the next morning and he'd be like, I mean, with the Disaster, it's a perfect example. The first track, there's this one part where we have this like little like transition into this whatever. And he was like, all right, hear me out, guys. Hear me out. I know this is like ridiculous idea. And he just sets apart like 8 bars and he just drum solos. And it's like the most stupid, ridiculous like drum solo shit, but it's fucking awesome. And then we just used it. Like another example, like in the studio with we're tracking vocals, we're doing New World Killer. There's that breakdown at the end, the dun 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 dun. There's like that big pig squeal. And like that was another like on the spot, like with Will. Like we just like it was like a stupid like haha, watch this. Like, you know what I'm saying? And everyone just kind of went like, guys, it's kind of cool. It's pretty sick. And like I feel like that was like the funnest part of the record was everyone just being open-minded and being like, let's just try this. Like, let's just do that. And like me and Alex have always been very like souls about how we want it, So it was fun opening up, dude.
No, that was the fun part for me, is because like once all the instruments are tracked, we're tracking vocals towards the end, and like I just got to laugh because some of the parts are just ridiculous with the gutturals and like getting to pick out what screams we wanted over parts. It was just it was so much fun.
Honestly, it sounds like maybe the most fun record you guys have ever put together, due to the fact that you guys had that openness to just feel free, try new things, not be as rigid with the ideas that you guys had in the past. So when you get to that point in time, you get to just experience where those ridiculous ideas can come from. Can some of those ridiculous ideas, just be presented and be like, yeah, that's not going to work? That probably happens all the time. But you do get those moments where it's, let me try some stupid shit. Okay, try it. And then, guys, I think this is it. Like, I don't think we can do any better than that on this song. Put that in there. Let's build with it. Go.
It's the best part about the studio, man, because I mean, I am in California writing by myself sometimes, but if I just took everything to the studio and just said, this is how it has to be, I'm cutting out everyone else in the band. And again, it was so cool to have Travis just be like, let me get a go at this MIDI here and take the drums and make it his own completely.
I think like recording has always been a really like stressful, tense situation for Spite. I mean, since nothing is beautiful, but like it's just been like very intense. I didn't really realize, like, going to Will and a big producer like this, I didn't really realize the recording experience could be like that. And it was actually a very enjoyable experience this time. And I really look forward to going back and making more stuff with Will and other producers and being more collaborative on Spite,
That makes a lot of sense. If you guys are enjoying the whole entire process of this, if you look back at this and say, this was so much fun, but at the same time, this brought out the best of who we are, the best of like what we want to put out in music and create art the way that it is right here. Capitalize on that. Keep going with it, because that's where you're going to get those magic moments that happen, those magic, insane drum solos, some insane guitar riffs. You're probably going to find something crazy within your vocals areas that you have not found yet in the next one, but it's going to end up coming out in a certain way that the comfortability, the freedom to experiment, the freedom to collaborate is all there in front of you. It feels like every single step of the way, it's like, all right, we might get the most eclectic record from Spite so far, and then the next one comes out, then the next one. It just keeps growing on that, because the ideas of what you guys can do are just flowing so freely and so naturally from you. That's the key, flowing naturally from you.
I think Will brought that out of me a lot for sure, and having Alex in the room while I was tracking vocals and stuff, because I was a little nervous in the sense that like I've always done vocals the same for every record with the same guy and with the same vocal chain and just like in the same like comfortable space. And so I was like, all right, this is the first time I'm gonna be working with someone else and do things how he wants to do it. And Alex, Alex was right there for all dedication too, but just letting them like pick me apart and like get the best shit. And it was a good time actually, and I really enjoyed that process. I think it brought, like you said, it brought out the best in me, and you can hear it on this record. It just sounds fucking monstrous, man. Like, yeah.
Oh,
You should see what it's like in the studio, man. Alex is in there fucking just directing me sometimes, just like, nah, dude, side of your mouth, dude. Cockroach guy from Men in Black, bro. Like just fucking like trying to fucking direct me out there, and it fucking works, man. It's
That's the
really
benefit
fun
of
experience.
Darius being my brother, is that I can have these really unusual references from like our childhood. And he's like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
The next time you guys get into the studio and record, Alex, what you got to do is you got to get like an air traffic controller vest and like the little wands and just be like, alrighty, where you want to go then? Go this way with your voice. No, now go this way. Yeah, Men in Black cockroach guy.
Pretty much what it was like. And I did. It was cool having Will be able to tell me, he was like, you were an awesome vocalist to track, and you have great vocal control. So it was really like easy to track you. You could do things like again and again if you needed to, and find that consistency. And having someone like that validate me like that was really cool for me.
That's an absolute win if I've ever heard one.
yeah, it was a dope feeling for sure.
It has to be. And there's always a great question when it comes to artists that bring out brand new music, that have new albums like this, that I love to ask, and I got to ask you guys this question. So at the moment of recording this, which was just right now a couple of weeks before New World Killer releases, there are 10 songs on the album, but there are 2 that have been released as singles. We know them as Lights Out, New World Killer. On this question, I'm going to remove those because people have already had a chance to listen to them, hear them, really get into them. Now, this is not going to be a question of what your favorite song is, because you guys put your heart and souls into this stuff, and I'm not going to make you pick between what might be, your artistic children. But I'm going to ask you this. So on release day, out of the songs that have not been released yet, which is a song you are most excited for people to hear, and why?
Ooh. I think Gavel. Gavel's probably my favorite. I don't want to give anything away on that one, but it scratches an itch for me as a guitar player, and also just feels like you're being thrown around. At least for me, I really can't wait for people to hear that song.
Definitely has that like shot of adrenaline when it starts. You know what I mean? You hear that like winding up guitar, and you're like, oh shit, here we go. It kind of like blasts off, and it's got all those fun spite elements that people love again, kind of like New World Killer does.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's definitely going to be like a fan favorite for sure. There's like 2 I want to talk about.
Hey, I don't make the rules here. Wait, I do. Do whatever you want.
All right. I'm gonna talk about 2. I think the song Shedding Skin is Alex got really creative on that one, and it's kind of like the turning point, transitional period, like and on that album where you feel things kind of like shift. And he does like such a good job of making the world of New World Killer just like feel like it's turning upside down. And like I think that was such a cool song to have on the record, and it's one that we're gonna find ways to play live too, and it's gonna sound massive, So that's one I really wanted to plug. And then Hand of the Reaper, dude. I wanna plug that song because it's like, I think people thought Lights Out was out of the box, but this was another Spike song that was just another like dart we threw at the wall, and like, but we had so much fun making this song, and it's so heavy and aggressive, but not in the typical formula. It's not the Lights Out formula either, but like, if you can like start your engine and fucking ride with that song in the car and just like go full speed, it is such a fun song to listen to. And it gives me like the Rob Zombie, like City of Evil, Avenged Sevenfold carry to it's got this like different vibe to it that I think Spite has never really explored. And I think it's like kind of like if Spite were to like tap into something in that world, like what would it sound like a little bit? And obviously not go full on, but like yeah, that's what you get. It's a really dope song.
See, now, especially when it comes to that specific song, again, everyone that's Hand of the Reaper, you can't tell me that, just given the fact that I already know what it sounds like. I've listened to it before, because, of course, got to prepare myself for an interview like this. But now I'm just going to want to, after I am done with this, I had to go back to work and do everything there, jump back in the car, and literally just, how fast can I get there? I'm just going to put on Hand of the Reaper, pedal to the floor, and I am sorry, Milwaukee PD. If you guys are trying to catch me, please don't do that, because I do not want a speeding ticket for something this awesome.
Fuck yeah, dude.
No, it's cool. I think if anything, there's so much dynamic switch ups on this record, but it's heavy throughout. It might not be the conventional heavy that people like right now
It's in there
in this
too.
time period, but all of that stuff is also in there. And I really just want people, to take a listen for each song and see what they like the most.
I think that's a great way to put it. I think it's a great way to put it. When you look, because I'll go back to what you said, Alex, with Gavel, because I don't want to give away any surprises or anything fun there. I want people to check it out. But for me, all I can say is on that one, when I listen and focus in on the drumming and how all of that interplayed with that song, that was the thing that really drew me into Gavel, was the overall drum pattern, that overall playthrough that really gave that emotion and gave the drive into the song exactly what it needed to continue to become greater and greater as the song went on. When you get to Shedding Skin, I think, Darius, you were right. It is that moment where if the album is going one way, I'm not going to say it's a full 180, but it's like if I'm driving forward at 120 miles an hour, this is that, paperclip hairpin drift style turn that you go on, and now you're going not backwards, but possibly in just a completely different direction. You just got to enjoy the ride and roll with it. There was a specific song, though, that really stood out to me, though, and because I love the intensity. I love the fast-paced stuff. I love that drive, and that's what I was kind of feeling, especially going to this record. So once I got a little bit towards the end, when I got to Looking Glass, whoo! Exactly what I was hoping for. I'm like, this scratches an itch I was hoping the album would at some point, and yep, it did.
Very cool.
I find it interesting you say that, and I love that song. And when we were in the studio making that one, when we were showing our friends and peers and stuff, that was the one everyone gravitated towards. They're like, that's the one. Like, that song is so good. Like, it's for me. I mean, I feel a certain way about it, but I put it up against other songs that like are way like more just raw, and I love that people like that one. They say it has like an old school Spite feel to it and all that shit. So I love that. That's a repeating song that keeps coming up.
It's even better, too, that it's not one of the first two singles you released. It might be another single that comes out at some point before the release, but if it doesn't, that's going to be an absolute treat that people are treated to on album release day, where it's just going to be like, let's go through this. All right, we're having a great time with this. Now we're going to get to Looking Glass towards the end of the album, and holy shit! You're going to be getting questions of why you didn't release as a single, but you know what? That's the beauty of it. People are going to get to unwrap an absolute great present on Halloween.
I think having Matt on that song was really cool too. I think, when we were picking out the features for the record, it was just like that song had a carry to it that we could, both me and Alex were just like, we can hear his voice on this. Mm-hmm. And that feature was so dope too, because rather than just being like a little section where it's just like, oh, there he is, like plug in the feature, we're kind of just like going back and forth with each other the whole song. Mm-hmm. And it feels like you're just being tossed around by us. And I love that, dude. It's so aggressive. And his voice is just so mean and powerful and visceral. And it just fits in with Spite so well.
Oh, it 100% did. Because when I started listening, I completely forgot there was a feature on that track as well. So when I heard it, it was just, holy shit, where did that came from? I don't know, but all of a sudden you go through and it's just that bouncing off of the vocal style, the way that the song drives forward, the way that I even put it, like made an absolute ass beater of a track. Yeah, this all comes together in that one singular track. Of course,
man.
The best part about that track is there are so many others that you can listen to from Spite's discography that are going to have that feel. But on New World Killer, that overall sound is going to continue to expand for you. That's the beauty of it.
Absolutely, dude.
Now, I do want to make sure I get to this because I mentioned this before we even started the call, but I got a good friend. His name is Nate. He's a fucking bodybuilder, massive human who loves Spite. So when I was able to book this, I'm like, Nate, dude, you got any questions for Spite? And he's like, holy shit, I got to make sure I don't mess up on this. So he sent me a couple. And in your opinion, for him, on New World Killer, is there a song as heavy as Psychopath?
I think New World Killer is.
No, if you're looking for Psychopath heavy, I would argue Pledge is right up there too.
Pledge has that drop F feel. I mean, not feel. It's in drop F, and so is Psychopath, and it gives that kind of just like sledgehammer dragging across the cement type feel to it. So I get where Alex is coming from with that one. That would be my second pick as next to New World Killer.
That would make a lot of sense, but that was not the only question he had, and oddly enough, it also revolves around Psychopath. His other question was, in the future, would you guys make a direct sequel song to Psychopath, like Psychopath Part 2?
We almost did.
We
almost did. When we first started writing Pledge, we had the idea that we were making Psychopath 2, and then we ended up like switching it actually. So
that's funny.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's not gonna happen because we have considered it. That's a good question.
Well, if you want to make one of the most massive humans, one of the biggest bodybuilders in the Madison, Wisconsin area happy, well, maybe it'll happen on the next one. Maybe it'll happen later on. Who knows?
Maybe something on the album will scratch that itch for him, you know?
If it does, like I said, back at when we get to see you guys play live next, you're probably going to see me go flying like 10 feet in the air into a freaking column, maybe get knocked down and be like, it happened. What? That big dude found a great song he loved and he threw Kevin into a fucking wall. It's okay. He'll be fine, though. He's resilient.
Rest in peace, man. I'm sorry.
Oh, the only way you're going to know it's going to be rest in peace if all of a sudden, I would say the show's not going to stop. You're just going to see like someone crowd surfing looking like they're dead as a doornail. It's like, yeah, at least he's getting the help he needs. Kevin's good. No worries. I'll say that's the beauty of it. But also beyond that, though, with that brand new tour coming up as well with Fit for a King, Make Them Suffer, I believe Currents and 156 Silence are on there. I got to ask, is there anything special that we can expect from Spite on that run?
Damn, we're definitely going to be playing new songs.
Naturally.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, man, it's like we have a half-hour set on that tour, and our goal every time we play a set, even like as short as that is to stuff as many songs as we can into there. So we're gonna have a good mix of old and new songs, and it's gonna be nonstop. So,
and you should get there early, watch all the bands. We're starting off the set very extreme and powerful, so make sure you're there. And yeah. It'll be a good time.
I would agree with you on all that, especially the see all the bands on there, because my God, that's just going to be a show where the energy level is just going to start high and it's going to stay that way throughout the entire thing. If you want to know what it's like to drink 5 Bang Energies at once and have it sustained for a couple of hours, this tour is going to be the one to go for.
That's right, man.
What's your go-to flavor, Bang?
Oh, man, I haven't had them in a while because I started getting a little bit of jitters after them. So I started just pretty much sticking with the Ghost energy drinks. I just connected more. But I think it's like it was like what would be like the Bomb Pop flavor. It was like the Star Blitz or something from Bang. That was always the one I'd go to.
Yep, that one's pretty good. I do like that one. I think Orange Cream's the way, though, man.
Ooh. See, now you're getting me intrigued because I might have to then now, before that show, just have, myself a nice Bang in the parking lot, Orange Cream, or while it's because I know the show that I'm going to have to go see is the one in Chicago after I park my car in the neighborhood and start walking in. Alrighty, this is how we start this out. And hopefully it carries us through the entire thing. I'm good with the energy on it, but it's more of the being able to hit people as hard as possible and take those hard as possible hits too and not fall down and die.
vibe, man. It's the vibe.
It's the vibe. Well, of course, brand new album coming out on Halloween, tour to follow it as well to close out 2025. But we got a whole new year ready to come for us all in 2026. What can we expect from you guys in 2026?
Oh, dude, we have our Australian tour headliner, New World Killer tour with Burials. And then we have it's not announced yet, won't be till the new year, but we have a headliner for New World Killer that is probably the coolest headliner lineup we've done. It's so awesome and it's so violent and fun, and I can't wait for everyone to come out to that show. Those shows. It's a tour, yeah.
It's we're going to do one show. It's going to be an entire tour because we're going to essentially be
Everyone's
hologramming it on 20 stages across the country.
Yeah, but I can't wait, man, to just tour off this album and we have some cool genuine content coming out for it that feels awesome for the band to put out, and it really feels like where Spite's supposed to be right now. So I'm excited.
Well, once that new year hits, I'm be on the lookout for that tour announcement and be like, okay, what day can I go to? What days can I go to? Alrighty, take my money, please. Done. Got the tickets. We're ready to go. And possibly, I'm going to have to get in the gym a lot more and just make sure I add 10, 20 pounds of muscles just to make sure I'm ready,
Give me both.
Yeah. All the comments in New World Killer that guy's a little small, crazy voice come from the small guy. He's like a small Tim Lambesis.
It's come to the show and see what it's actually like. Just don't just watch the videos. Don't just sit behind a screen. Come actually see it for yourself. It's much better than you would expect. Just trying to amp it up. Well, guys, to bring this one to conclusion, I got one last question I want to ask you. It's a question I've been asking for the past 2 years to close out these episodes, and it's something I love to do to not only get more into new music, but to get to know the music you guys love as well and spread it throughout the many people that I can. So I got to limit to 3 overall because otherwise we'll be here the entire afternoon, and, well, that's going to take up a lot of time. So we're going to limit to 3 overall. So between the two of you, can you guys name me 3 bands or artists that you love to see more people get into right now?
Ooh.
I could name 3 right away.
Yeah, fuck it. Give me the 3 right away.
I'll start. I don't even have to say this, but Boundaries. Boundaries, I think, is the best band around right now. I think they've been for years, and I'm so happy to see that band getting their flowers and getting all these crazy opportunities. And they're just incredible people, incredible musicians, and they write amazing songs. And I think that they're just if I look at a band all around that is just perfect, I think of Boundaries. So I definitely obviously want to put them out there. Me and Alex discovered this band recently called Pupil Slicer that we've been getting really into. I think they're from the UK, and we've just been kind of following up on their recent releases because we just found them on YouTube, and they are some really fresh, scary, heavy stuff. And if you're looking for something that definitely is a little bit different, but it still has that atmospheric, menacing sound, you should check them out for sure. Alex, is there anything you want to plug?
Oh, damn. As a 3rd band, huh?
Just before I, start.
No. I think Fox Lake was a good one. I just heard them for the first time maybe a few months ago because Darius showed me, and I was super impressed. And I'm not normally into that kind of new metal kind of mesh sound. That has never been my thing, but I think they delivered super well.
Revenant, that's the last one. It's this young
Reverend
deathcore band. Oh, Reverend. Sorry, Reverend.
Okay.
My bad. Excuse me. I just got into them. So, Reverend and with a 3, and they are this young deathcore band from California, and they're just doing and I MySpace deathcore is having this revival or whatever, but they're doing it in this way where it doesn't feel like they're even trying, and they just are it. You know what I mean? You look at how they dress and how the songs are and the artwork and everything, and it's so real. And I believe that it is. And these kids, I think, are a true new wave of what's to come for deathcore, and they're paying such a cool like tribute to like what we all grew up listening to and loving that made our sound now, you know. So yeah, that's a band you should definitely look into.
This is why I love asking this question, because there's times I get to hear bands I'm like, oh, I know them. I've actually interviewed them before. And then there's times where it's like, you guys gave me two that I have never heard of before. But now when it comes to putting this episode together, when it comes to doing all this, just like, I love having music on in the background. And it's okay. That's usually where I go to. It's what are some of the bands these guys have said? And let's check them out because, well, you never know what you're going to fall in love with. That's the beauty of that question.
Fuck yeah, man.
Hell yeah. Well, guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to be on the podcast. I truly, truly appreciate it. We're going to end this with three things. So first things first, everybody, Spite's brand new record, New World Killer, comes out on Halloween, October 31st of this year, 2025. Not only that, but they're going to be out on tour with Fit for a King, Make Them Suffer, Currents, and 156 Sounds to close out 2025 here in the U.S. They got an Australian tour coming up and a headline tour they just mentioned. Dates, what support acts, where it's going to be. Just wait, that announcement will be coming soon. Be sure to know all about it. Go to script of the podcast. We'll see where it says find Spite online. Link symbols for everything to find them on social media. Check out the music. Make sure you listen to the entirety of New World Killer. Go see and play live. Go and get some merch as well. Go support them because, yeah, you should. I'm doing all the hard work. I'm doing all the research. All you got to do is click the links and go. I labeled them too for you. Come on. It's not that bad. It's not that hard. Now it's time for number two, guys. Whatever guests in the podcast enjoy the podcast, I tend to make a certain promise as a way to say thank you. I appreciate taking the time, and I wish to continue to support the band in the future. I've already seen you guys play once, maybe twice before, so I'm not going to say the first time I see you guys play. I'm going to say the promise is the next time I see you guys play live. I will find a way to come and find you guys. I will come and say hello to you guys, but that's not the promise. The real promise is that first round's on me.
My man.
We'll fucking see you there.
So at this
I tend to hang out at the merch table and say what's up, so it'll be easy to find me.
Oh, it'll be easy to find you. You might be seeing I'll probably be the Chicago show for this run then, but to Make Them Suffer Fit for a King trip. You'll be like, okay, hang out the merch table. You might see this crazy guy, maybe bloodied at that point somehow. No, I'll be like, hey buddy, I made you a promise. What do you need? And after that, I'm gonna see Alex run out of back, like behind this table, like, am I getting that round too? Give me that.
Oh man.
Or maybe an axe will come through the backing of the merch table and it'll be like, here's Alex.
Oh, dude. That's more realistic, actually. Yeah, it's appropriate.
It's more realistic, but it makes sense. And now it's time for number three, guys. I cannot end this by saying goodbye. That is way too final. I made you a promise. I got to keep that promise. Beyond that, though, I love doing this episode, man. This was great, you two guys, and I would love to be back on again in the future. So goodbye is too damn final. This is, I'll see you later.
Good to meet you, man.
Dude.
Woo! Well, folks, in my interview with Darius and Alex from the band Spite. Now it's time for Kevin's final thought. Man, I've been looking forward to this one, and this one was good. Why do I say this one was good? Well, let's take a look back at what Spite has done. I mean, we took a look at the heaviness that they brought to the table. We always know that, especially from their self-titled Nothing Is Beautiful, The Root of All Evil, and Dedication to Flesh, my bad. But what we saw, especially on New World Killer, is we saw a different writing style from them. Not writing style, but different way of recording, where instead of being, in a way that you had the whole entire pandemic to do it, you had to do it in such a constrained time period, and you got everything natural coming out of them as it was intended. They didn't have to nitpick. They didn't have to just figure out what they want to do specifically to match a specific point in time. No, they just went for it, and this is what we got. And man, there's a lot of great evolution on this that still stays in the heaviness. We get great evolution on the drum patterns that give this more progressive groove to the songs at times. We get a much greater guitar overall evolution that creates different sounds that match up with that groove, but also amplify the vocals and amplify that storytelling and that emotional just outrage that you feel on this album. Darius's vocals just continue to expand, continue to show that absolute brute force, and you're going to get songs that transition that in many different ways. I mean, hell, we talked about songs like Gavel, Shedding Skin, Hand of the Reaper, of course, the single New World Killer, the single Lights Out, and my personal favorite on the album, Looking Glass. Yeah, this one's going to be fun. This one's going to be good. enjoy the heaviness. I want to thank Darius and Alex for coming on the podcast today. When it comes to finding Spite Online, go to the description of the podcast. We'll links levels for everything. You're going to be down there for you to get into the band, see them play live when they're on tour with Fit for a King, make them suffer 156 Silence and Currents, along with what's going to happen in 2026, because they said headline tour, get ready for it, baby. Go follow them. Description of the podcast below. Also down there is going to be where you can find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Please also hit the subscribe button if you're right here on YouTube. Hit the follow or subscribe button on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We've got audio versions too. And hit the like button because, hell, that pushes in the algorithm and get people to know about more great new music, especially the heavy stuff. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Darius. Thank you, Alex. Thanks, Nate, for the questions. Love you, buddy. On that note, that's going to be everything. Thank you very much for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one of these episodes. Big, healthy, and hearty. See ya! Yeah.